All right, today we've got Linsday Gerstmar here, and she's part of our industry interview series, and we're just going to get started here. So Lindsay, you are in Calgary, and you currently work for the Calgary Police Services as a trainer within their own, the new gym that they have set up, correct?
Well, we're at headquarters. We've always been at headquarters, but headquarters has moved over the years. So we used to be downtown and now we're up in the Northeast. Yeah. For the last, I want to say we've been there for 6 or 7 years now.
Cool.
Already. Just kind of crazy.
Time flies, hey?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Far too quickly.
It's so true. It's so true. So how did you get in with working with Calgary Police Services?
Well, for me, it was pretty random in a way. I guess I would have been in I want to say my final semester or maybe my second final semester of school. Mm-hmm. And I had recently made the decision that I didn't really want to follow like going through medical school and that type of thing. And in one of my final classes, they brought in the manager of the fitness unit at the time. And he was looking for student work terms for students to do work, obviously, I guess. And yeah, I applied, not really thinking too much about it, mostly because I was just about to go in for knee surgery, or at least I was getting knee surgery when that initial student work term was supposed to start. So I had told them I was interested in the following semester, and for whatever reason, they hired me for the one literally a week after my reconstructive knee surgery. I was working for them. So
wow, talk about a forced knee recovery at the same time, hey?
Yeah, it wasn't great. I don't think my colleagues were too happy about it. They made me, like, I didn't even think our buildings had elevators. They made me walk up and down with my crutches, like flights and flights of stairs. They won't admit it now, but they still don't admit that it was intentional. They said they didn't remember there was elevators, which is, I don't know how you don't remember with somebody with a knee brace and crutches, but I think they were trying to put me through the ringer a bit.
Probably. It's like par for the course of those worlds, right? To kind of truly test a person and see what they're willing to put up with,
totally.
How stubborn they can be, or
I think they were just angry that they had hired me in general. So, I mean, under the circumstances, which was fair enough. And I don't know how to turn off. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear those.
I can hear it, but that's okay.
I don't even know how to turn them off. I was trying to figure this out recently. Sorry.
It's okay. Is it on your computer?
It is, and it's my messages, and every time I try to exit out of them, it exits and it says it's like it quit, but then it just keeps dinging anyways.
I don't know. I know. So I'm able to mute the tabs that I'm on my screen, but that's the only trick I know, and it's a right click on the tab.
Yeah, I put quit, and it doesn't even show up in my bar down below anymore, but I bet you they'll still keep coming in for whatever reason.
It's all those little mystery background things. Oh, well, we'll deal with it. It's okay. We're all learning right now, right? So,
yeah.
So, what were you in kinesiology or in like pre-med school that you were doing?
Well, it's kind of a bit of both, I guess. Like there isn't technically like a pre-med program, at least there wasn't at the time. But that was about as close to it as it was. So I did exercise physiology.
Okay.
In part of the kin program.
Cool.
But more the science-based side of it. Yeah.
Okay. That's fabulous. So now, fast forward 7-8+ years, what is your role within that service and what do you do?
So yeah, it started off as just a student work term, and at the time it was really just testing. We were like testing members, and they needed help with that.
Okay.
And then I got really lucky a year later that they somehow liked me and asked me to interview for a spot. And now, from when I started to where it's at now, it's evolved a lot. Partially because we're very fortunate to have 6 full-time staff, which is like unheard of in our, I guess, our small industry of police fitness, if you will, or even emergency services in general. Yeah. So we initially started with primarily testing our members on an annual basis. They would have to come in if they wanted to be promoted, or, I mean, really they were supposed to do it anyhow. that wasn't proving to be all that effective. And it was a huge, like a lot of resources being put into testing. It wasn't really changing their lifestyle. Yeah. So it was that along with the recruit training side of it. So those were the two main pieces originally. It's now evolved to recruit training still being one of our really big portfolios, but we also are very involved with like, well, specialty testing. We've gotten into some of their training now as well. We teach a lot of internal courses. So when we removed the testing side of things, just the physical testing, we incorporated a whole bunch of courses. So yeah, that's evolved a lot over the years as well through professional development and then building those programs, and then their success led to more courses. So there's a huge education component that we do as well. Yeah. And then we do a lot for just the membership in general, sworn and civilians. So we offer programming to them, but then we also do like just like fun lunch hour stuff for them, lots of different drop-in type classes. And we offer a lot of additional things to them as well. So with some of our education stuff, like some of our courses, like for instance, one of our courses has to do with back health. If they do take that and they do have back problems, then if they take the course, then they get access to like one-on-one assessments and that type of stuff as well. So it's very difficult to explain because we're involved in lots of stuff, and then some of it really has nothing to do with fitness in some regards too, because there's the day-to-day stuff that we're involved with on a bigger scale within CPS. But
okay, so it sounds very multifaceted. There's lots of layers to everything, and you're more really. It sounds like you guys were working harder on like the education component and getting everybody educated so that then they can take what they know and turn it into successful practices in their day-to-day training.
Yeah, I would say like for the majority of our membership, that's what it's for. Obviously, the recruit training program and all of the applicant stuff is very different. Yeah. That's a lot more on the floor, hands-on training. And we do offer that to some of the members as well. Okay. But they're they differ. And there is education, obviously, within their program as well. Yeah. But yeah, we've moved a lot more to educating as opposed to forced training, if you will. Yeah. The old school.
Do you find your buy-in has improved from that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's much better. We're far more respected too. People actually like us. And I've never really been a part of the, where they felt like PT was ever forced upon them or anything like that. But there's definitely a pretty positive stigma around us, and we're generally a very favorable part of the service. So, which is nice considering what we do.
That's huge, because it's really hard getting like in there and getting, especially that group and that culture, to understand that like your trainer actually has knowledge and education. They know what they're talking about. They're not just copying something from the internet that they saw or a YouTube video or whatever. And what they're doing has a purpose for then the CPS and whoever else you deal with to then take that and be successful in their day-to-day and what their job requirements are as well, right?
Oh, totally. And we're also kind of fortunate because the vast majority of them have to go through us before they so they get to know us really well, and we get to kind of, inform them on all of those sides of things. And they get to understand that, we're not just throwing random things at them and there's a purpose. So we get to build a really solid relationship with the majority of them, at least on the sworn side right off the bat. A little bit different with our civilian side because they tend to be a lot more intimidated just by the nature of what we do. So we've had to work a little bit harder to kind of gain their trust, I guess. But I'd say that's come a long way as well. So they don't have to kiss off the bat, but the recruits don't. It's not optional for them. So that's
great. You know what though? It's nice to see that there's something available there, right? And that the people that we rely on to keep us safe or, abide by the law, all of those things, they have an ability and a resource to go and get further help, back health. I know there's a strong mental health component in there, a bunch of other things too. So, and it's teaching them how everything is part and parcel in order to be the most successful. So as like an outsider looking in, it's really key to be able to know that that's an available service to these people who truly are super valuable for just our day-to-day operations and being able to, you know, walk around the streets comfortably and safely in Calgary.
Yeah, I'd say we're also, because we do have such a large group, even within the fitness unit, but wellness has been such a over the last probably at least decade, if not a little bit longer than that, health and wellness has been such a huge focus for CPS. And because we have the ability to have enough staff to sort of promote these programs and build upon them, like there's not too many organizations out there, whether it's policing, emergency services, or otherwise, that have the same resources offered to them. So it's a pretty holistic approach for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing. So in your role, do you have like a specific area within this structure of CPS that you work with? Like, you know, there's movement specialists, there's strength and conditioning specialists, there's people who work on rehab more so in like your general population realm. So do you have a specific role that you fill within there?
Well, we're kind of, we kind of do all of it, oddly. We have supports as well. So for sure, we're the strength and conditioning side of it. That's a huge, like a very large component of what we do. We do partake in a lot of the rehab side of it as well. But we do have physiotherapists and an athletic therapist as well on contract that we do work like kind of hand on hand with. So they do sort of the initial stuff, and we're usually more involved as they're returning back into, like, let's say a recruit class or something from like a fairly significant injury. And then obviously from the back health perspective, we're quite involved with that. Some of us are within our group are more involved in different portfolios. So we kind of like it's hard to explain. Some of us do a little bit more of the nutrition side of things. Some of us do a little bit more on like back health, perhaps. Some of us a little bit more on the movement-based stuff. And then there's also the specialty units that we sort of have portfolios in. So I'm a little more involved with kind of all of those things with like our canine unit, and done quite a bit of support with one of my colleagues with TAC. And going forward, like I'll be more involved with all of the specialty unit stuff, which would be a lot of the strength and conditioning, the testing specifically, even more so their physical testing to get into those units. And then with some of them, it would involve, strength and conditioning and rehab and stuff like that as well. It's very, we're kind of like we kind of do all of it, but some of us have more invested interest into it. I'm kind of seem to be involved in a lot of pieces of it, of what we do, but I don't know if that really answered your question at all, but we incorporate all of that.
You know what? It's fine. It did answer my question, and it sounds like you guys have more of like an integrated support team. So everybody's working together as a team and sharing information that's required to be shared with each specific portfolio or client that you deal with on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. So currently we're in like COVID state. There's, as far as I know, like the firefighter gyms have been closed. All of the gyms have been closed. Has the CPS gym been closed as well?
Yeah. So I'm hesitant to say this too, but we were probably a really large factor in those closures, like our unit specifically. And so we've had a lot of backlash from both police and fire. We have tri-services with us. So we were probably the catalyst to a lot of the firefighters gyms being closed, unfortunately. In our specific situation, we don't have, because we have so many gyms within the city and every single area has their own gym, like whether it's headquarters or every district has their own gym. We don't have people that are monitoring our gyms ever. They're 24/7. They're, use at your own discretion. So we have no way of monitoring who's coming and going, other than obviously you need to be a member, and it could be bringing family or friends in. We don't have a really way of tracking that. So we actually closed our facilities quite early on.
Sorry.
It's all good.
There. Unforeseens.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So, we closed our facilities quite early on and pushed pretty hard for it, which affected the fire side as well because of our shared areas. It brought a lot of attention to all of the areas. So it was, I think just also because of what was being put down through the government, like we all had to kind of fall in line with that as well. But we were pushing, not that we wanted to close them, but we had to close them at least for a period of time to figure out how we were going to manage potential COVID concerns. So we've been closed for quite some time now.
Yeah. You know what, so in the name of like trying to protect your membership and protecting the people that really potentially are going to be needed, it's a wise choice, because you don't want to run the risk of exposure and then all of a sudden, you know,
yes,
Calgary Firefighter Services totally done because of massive outbreak, right? Like it wouldn't go over very well.
Right.
Yeah. So then
no, and yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's a tough one with that population too, because they use that so much as an outlet. Mm-hmm. So as much as, you know, that's an easy way to spread, it's also seen as their way of coping and getting through something like this where they are essential and having to work through it. So it's a sticky one to go through because they don't always see it as protecting them. It's taking away something of importance to them.
Well, I mean, you go and tell any crazy gym goer that they can't go to their gym and they're just as upset and just as frustrated, right? So we all understand if we're avid, and if we're avid gym attendees, we understand the mental benefit and the ability to blow off steam in there in a safe environment and how beneficial that is. So it's hard telling anyone you can't do it. That's for sure. But currently now, so what are you recommending your membership to do to try and stay active, stay fit, keep working on things that they might need to be working on? Are you providing any ideas or resources for them?
Yeah, so we're pretty fortunate. I guess like we move slow compared sometimes to the rest of the industry in terms of like technologies and certain things that are out there because we need to get a lot of approvals for stuff, especially when when they can be perceived as like sharing privacy and different things like that. But in the last about year and a half, 2 years, we've been trying to introduce more technology. So we've been using TrueCoach now for a bit of time, which is an online-based programming system, so app-based as well. So we've been using that with a lot of our members and had recently just started moving it towards using that with our recruits as opposed to like physical logbooks and that type of thing. So the timing of that worked out actually really well because we've already been playing with that, and so we were able to get a lot of programming online for them and then adapt it to things that they could do at home. So for our recruits, for instance, we've changed all their workouts to be done at home because they're required to do PT as part of their recruiting program. They've been tasked with like sending us videos and times and different things. So they've actually been getting almost some of their testing at home as well as best we can. And being asked to, like, that's part of their day on some of the days is to actually complete these workouts. So that's been actually kind of cool, but also very time consuming.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot more time consuming than we maybe anticipated. And then for the membership, what we've done, especially with like how disappointed everybody was with everything being shut down, we've also now have Train Heroic as well, because it's a little bit better in the group setting and more of a community feel. So we brought that online, which is similar in a lot of ways to TrueCoach, but also different. So learning that whole system now, uploading lots of programming onto that. And now we're offering 5 different training streams for our membership. So that's sworn and civilian, spouses, family members, as many as we can. And we've got close to 500 members now on that. Whether they're all utilizing it, we're tracking a bit of that because that's always, a lot of them like to look at it but maybe not follow everything. Yeah. So we've got programming for people with 0 equipment, minimal equipment, and full equipment.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been, and oddly enough, it's been, I think we're busier than we've ever been.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of work. And then obviously answering questions and trying to be interactive with them and not tracking what they're doing, but like helping them out with stuff. So it's a whole nother beast, and kind of something we're learning as we go as well. So, because there's obviously good things to both of those systems, but there's limitations to them both as well.
Yeah.
And so navigate through, and they're updating things quite frequently, trying to keep up with the needs of everyone right now too, because everyone in the fitness industry is in a sort of a similar situation. But those two programs have been very, 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 very helpful for us.
Awesome.
But we're lucky. That money doesn't come out of my pocket. That's the service is sort of, helping out with that and showing that it's a priority to our membership. So there's been a lot of pressure on us to deliver.
Well, and it sounds like you guys, sounds like you're delivering. It sounds like you're hitting the mark as best as you can in the 24-hour learning curve period that we had. So
yeah, it was not a lot of time. And I mean, it keeps improving. Like we're finding better ways every day. It seems every week to kind of try to help as many people as we can, but obviously stock programming and for that many people, it's got its challenges. Everyone's got their own individual needs, and with 6 people, we don't have the capacity to reach 3,000 CPS employees. So it's trying to balance all of that with providing good information and solid programming with where they're not just going to the internet and picking up whatever. And with our membership, it's tough too, because we have to keep in mind that some of them are putting in really long hours. So, and they like to crush themselves in the gym. So trying to strike a balance with them where we're working towards maybe more maintenance and mental health and just general wellness, and that, achieving, we're really moving forward on your training isn't necessarily the priority right now, like hitting the big goals. So
we're finding right now the biggest struggle for myself with I was never online for coaching, and I'm instantly online. And now part of the challenge is actually trying to impress upon and lock into the brains of my clients that you're currently under extreme amounts of stress. So for you to go and try and kill yourself in a workout, now your body's going to be like, holy crap, I'm dying. Now I go into survival mode instead of it being a healthy stress added into that. I'm like, so you have to find that balance, and it's not a matter of hitting PRs. It's not a matter of, dying on the floor, had the best workout of your life. It's a matter of just staying moving rather than sitting, which most of us are sitting a whole lot more than we usually do. Although there's probably the flip side where there are people who...
I think there's a bit of both for sure.
Yeah, so there's it's such a weird shift for everybody, right? But trying to teach them that go out and kill yourself workout is probably not the wisest thing to be doing at this point in time.
Yeah, and it's a struggle we have all the time, because you want people utilizing your programming because it's better than what they can just find from a Google search. Yeah. But then you're also not just trying to give them what they want, because that's not always the right way to go. So it's trying to find that right balance. And for us, it's also trying to introduce them to things that they're maybe not doing on a regular basis, and changing the focus so that, they're coming back with a better base than maybe what they had prior to, and focusing on the things that they just don't spend the time doing. So, and then incorporating a lot of the stuff that, they've been even just incorporating mindfulness into their workouts and proper recoveries, and sort of not tricking, but pushing a lot of that stuff into their actual programming, so that it's just being echoed from lots of different areas for them to be mindful of it.
Yeah, and then the beauty of being able to take this as an opportunity to almost introduce maybe a new perspective or a new approach to being active and healthy is probably the perfect moment where if someone actually needed breathing work, you can introduce it now, and they're going to do it because that's all they want. Or if they needed mobility and flexibility, now's your window to do it without pushback, because there isn't the lure of the heavy weights over there.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of them have been exposed to it with us in some way, shape, or form. So it's just bringing them back to some of that stuff that they've probably neglected for some period of time.
Cool.
So yeah, there's huge emphasis on that too. Whether or not all of them practice it or not is always a challenge, but at least it's there as a reminder as well that it is an important thing to be partaking in. So.
Well, and at least you can say you tried, right?
Totally. And it's a really great opportunity for us to play with more technologies and probably deliver different services for when things do resume, because there's a lot of things we've been trying to do that we didn't have time for.
Yeah.
Now we have a lot of, well, sort of a lot of time for some of
We
it.
have time.
Yeah, I wish we had more time to play with some of the things right now, but I think as things sort of settle in, we're going to have more time to try to figure things out with some of the more like technology based things that we can be using. And it's been fun. There's a lot of cool things that we can do a little bit more remotely, which is important with our demographics. So
yeah, that's great. Well, and it seems like this is the perfect opportunity to kind of sell what you were pitching, and maybe it wasn't bought in right away. Now you can really emphasize that it is working. So it's to your advantage for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Awesome. So when you think about like the fitness, health, and wellness industry, specifically in terms of fitness and strength training, what would be your long-term hope for it? Pre-COVID and even like now that we're after COVID, what would be your hope that?
I guess for me, I'm hoping maybe it just brings more awareness to the importance of the physical side of things, like whatever you want to call training, that it's not just about, you know, the high intensity training side of things, that like this can be utilized for every demographic, every person to be using as an advantageous part of their lifestyle, moving in general. So whatever that looks like on that continuum for any individual. I mean, I hope, and I don't know, like this is probably more my long-term goal for the industry in general, is just a little bit more regulation around who can offer these services, ensuring that it's appropriate services, because there's a huge responsibility behind what we do. In my opinion, it's no more safe or no more dangerous than, like, you know, any of the other professions sort of in a similar line, like whether it be physio, chiropractic, massage, like it should be sort of treated similarly. So there needs to be some type of regulation around it, and I'm hoping maybe this will help with that. But then also, I don't know, just benefit the service, like the services we offer overall. Just maybe have more people buy into why it's important. Maybe it become even a benefitable service. Like I think the industries around similar to us in a sense. So
it would be beautiful to see that it would be covered by benefits to a certain degree. I mean, there's so much science alone proving physical fitness reduces all these other things and ailments that we just prescribe medication for.
Exactly.
Why don't we try and prescribe fitness and avoid the medication? Like, we're missing a key component. So absolutely. I really feel like if things were covered a little bit more with benefits, people would be able to buy in a little bit more, and that whole financial setback wouldn't be there.
And the industry's become very expensive in a lot of ways. It's trendy too, and when it becomes trendy, it becomes expensive. And if it's, you know, if there was a way to make it a little bit more regulated, and then those medical professionals knowing who to send to that are reputable, and you know, on top of their professional development, and have some type of education. It doesn't have to be necessarily like some type of formal education. It doesn't have to be necessarily like a university degree, but people that are, you know, showing that they have the knowledge. It's not just a matter of a weekend course and
I agree.
Pulling off whatever they can find. I mean, anyone can make a challenging workout, but you can do a lot of harm. Yeah. I mean, well, you know, so.
So I took a weekend course. I didn't go to kinesiology or anything. I wish I did, but time has passed.
Yeah.
But it's more so, it's regulating one way or another. I don't know what it looks like, but either proof of continuing education.
Yeah, continuing education.
Actual education, though, and being able to apply that education. And so the downfall in my, I guess, organization that I'm certified is you could go get your continuing education credits. Most people abuse the system. You go to a one-day conference and do the workout classes.
Totally.
You learned nothing.
Yeah.
And so how are you becoming a better trainer when you're not actually learning something, you're just doing something? Yes, there's learning pieces, but those classes are never filled out. It's just the other ones that are. And like, that's my beef. That's my personal beef that I have. But that's also because I have been led by some of the really, really good, knowledgeable, educated coaches in my past life, that I understood the value of having that education piece to explain the why to everything that you're doing in the gym. Totally. Or even being able to be like, you're moving horribly, go home and go to bed.
Totally. Yeah, and having a university degree doesn't help you with that anyhow. There's a ton of people there with a university degree and haven't done anything since getting that degree, and that doesn't teach you how to do strength and conditioning, or like you got to be able to apply that knowledge, and a lot of what you learn in school is not what translates onto the floor, or gives you the ability to build appropriate programs for different clients and their needs. Their needs, and there's just so many certifying bodies out there that it's challenging. Yeah. And how do you pick? You know, like it's a big mess, in my opinion.
It is a big mess. And like you said, when it becomes trendy, money follows. And that's really where we're at right now. Hopefully there's a reset in that realm. I'm not saying I want
it's
Sorry?
It's happening whether we like it or not, I think.
True. Quite true. This might be like a really good reset across the board. We'll wait and see for that one. But it's more so, I think it's finding a way that I probably your best regulation would be application, like ability to apply knowledge, right? So some sort of in-session assessment that has to happen annually, every 2 years, whatever the case may be. There's a lot of us, so that's a lot of time, but it's needed because, I mean, really and truly as a trainer, I could kill you too if I don't program something properly. So I don't want to be responsible for that.
No, or just destroy someone's body. And I mean, it happens on a regular basis.
Yeah.
You're dealing with people that have been doing things so wrong for so long, and you find out that they paid a whole lot of money to learn how to do that so wrong for so long.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And it's frustrating when you when you come to work with those people, because in the end, you always end up working with those people where something was not taught properly in the first place. And then you're trying to completely start from square one all over again.
Absolutely.
And it's so frustrating as the trainer, but it's also frustrating more so for the client who is sitting there and then really angry because the person they trusted and thought was having their best interest in mind clearly did not. So it's a long-term hard process, but here's hoping regulation does happen. It needs to happen.
Yes, it does. Yeah, it will. I think at some point what it looks like will be interesting.
Mm-hmm. That it will be.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. So maybe I don't know. COVID.
Oh man, it's weird times. Very weird times right now.
It is. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, so you come across a new person who's wanting to get into the field of being a coach or a trainer. What 3 pieces of advice would you give them?
I think for me, would be like continuing to educate yourself, because the industry is changing and challenging yourself. Like, we're always learning more about the body and what it can do or can't do, or things that need to be changed or done for people. So I think continual education, whether you think you've reached you've reached the top of your knowledge or not, I think continual education is a big piece. And then finding some very solid mentors, I think, is very important. There's some very good people within the industry, and if you can find those early to help you navigate your way through the industry, I think that's incredibly important.
Yeah.
So good mentors, not just any mentor, and just not being satisfied with like where you're at. And I think you need to have that passion to have that never being satisfied. You have to have a passion for this industry, or you have no business being in it. It's too hard of an industry you can't just skate through it. You won't do well, and it's it'll give you a lot more headaches than reward if you're not passionate about it.
Yeah, complacency gets us nowhere.
No, and in this field, it's unfortunately there's a lot of complacency.
Yeah.
And And the opposite as well. But if you want to be successful in it, complacency is of no favor to you.
No, none whatsoever. I like that. Don't be satisfied with where you are. Seek more, right? Always seek more. Find the ways that you can get better and improve and grow.
Yeah.
I mean, and then when you're doing that for yourself, the people around you are only being pulled up with you anyways. So
and they recognize it too, I think.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yes, buy-in.
Right? Buy-in. It helps tons when you can actually talk about what you're and like talk about and educate what you're trying to impress upon the person too, and then be able to say like, this is where I got the information from. I'm not making it up.
Yeah, and you have to live and breathe a little bit what you preach to some extent too.
Totally. Yeah.
That's often a bit of a hard topic in the industry for some people, but I think if you're in this industry and you don't do what you preach, it's going to present some challenges for sure.
Yeah. You'll get caught out at one point anyway. So.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, wonderful, Lindsay. This was fabulous. I want to thank you very much for the opportunity to sit down and chat with you. Hopefully next time it will be in person.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right? But thank you very much. This was great. It was really fun learning about how the Calgary Police Service and your tri-service group works with each other, and how you focus on education so much, and then being able to kind of fill it into every other aspect of being a trainer and a coach. That was really enlightening. So I really appreciate that. And I wish you guys the best of luck hitting those 3,000 members with your program.
Yeah, same to you.
Thank you. One day we'll have 3,000 members, but it's a big learning curve for sure, going from client facing to online.
Yeah, that's just, and we're just lucky, but that's our employees. So it's a bit different than attaining those people. So we certainly don't hit all 3,000 of them. Yeah. But we do what we can anyhow.
Yeah. Well, we thank you very much for that, because that also helps us know that those key people in our first responder services are hopefully doing what they can to stay healthy and stay active as well. So that's important for us to see and to experience and witness as well, because then we can kind of have them as examples for ourselves too. So yeah,
sure.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.